Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Singing Studio podcast. This is Brea Sands,
Hello.
and I am Jessica Ford. And today we are going to talk about tone. Can you change your tone? That is a fascinating question. How do you feel about it? Can you change your tone?
In simple terms, no, because your tone that's just your natural voice,
Mhm.
right? Now, if you want to get more into depth and talk about why you might be able to change your tone, get into the specifics of why you would be able to.
Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to say is you cannot change your God-given tone. Like the sound of your voice is what it is. However, you can
Mm-hmm.
do things to manipulate your tone, like make it more nasal. You can put your tongue in the back of your throat and sound like Kermit the Frog. You know what I mean? There's things you can
Mm-hmm.
do inside your resonant chamber that will change your tone, but it's still your tone doing that. You can't
Mm-hmm.
go, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and sound like Whitney Houston's tone. Perfect. It's
Right.
impossible. It's impossible. So there are limitations to that, but yes, yes and no, right? You can and you
Mm-hmm.
can't, right?
Right.
So you tend to sing with a very placement three pharyngeal tone,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit different than your speaking voice.
Mm-hmm.
Can you say for everybody so they can hear your tone change, like, hi, how are you today?
Hi, how are you today?
Now sing it like, hi, how are you today? Or whatever.
Hi, how are you
You
today?
hear that kind of
Yeah.
pharyngeal, right?
Yeah.
So you placed that in placement three, which gives a little bit more of a nasal tone without being
Mm,
super nasal, but you can hear
right.
that it's in there.
Right. Right.
So that is a tone change for your body.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Ooh.
yes. And I notice I do that especially when I'm going up the scale,
Uh-huh.
right? As we start to transition up into those higher placements, that's
Yes,
why
you have to.
I put that in. Yeah.
Yes. The higher you go in your voice or on the piano, the higher you go into your head, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to pass through your hard palate.
Mm-hmm.
That sound that you are creating is allowing you to stay on pitch.
Okay.
So, right? So it's that it's not right?
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
getting up into your hard palate, into your nice sinus cavity. I look so good right there. Your sinus cavity. Ha! And then what you can resonate there to get those commercial voice full notes higher
Okay.
on pitch. So, but that's
Yes.
a tone change.
Okay.
Don't you think? Within
Yeah.
your limitations of
No, absolutely. Yes. Yes. That
ah,
makes sense. Yeah. So at its core, fundamentally, you cannot change how you sound,
yeah.
right? You're not, unless you, like you said, unless are a impersonator, right? And
Okay.
you need to have a similar sound to the person you're trying to impersonate, right?
Yes. So let's talk about that. I will never forget when the guy who did Kermit the Frog
Mm-hmm.
passed away and the new voice of Kermit the Frog came. That's not Kermit the Frog.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, no, that's not his voice. Like
This
you
is
grow
something
up with that,
off, right?
right? So if you grow up with that certain tone, you know the sound by ear. And when even
Right.
though it's similar, it can never be identical. Right.
Yep.
Right. So even twins that are like DNA same can have separate, different tones to their voices, which is really
Okay.
fascinating to me. Really fascinating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Go. Can you let's talk about some people who have who are able to change their tone,
Okay.
right? But in their own specific way, not like sound like somebody else, right? But how they are changing their tone in the song.
Okay. So like let's say Celine Dion.
Okay.
Okay, so because you love me.
Oh
You know that
yes,
song, right?
yes, I
Okay.
love that song.
Right? So she gets up in that pharyngeal, same space
Mm.
you do when she gets higher, and she might go, because you, right?
Yeah,
Love
yeah.
me, right? Or whatever. So she might get up in that sort of space,
Right, right.
right? And that is a tone change. Someone that I love very much, Dwayne Hitchings, he is one of the best songwriters ever. He has Grammys, blah, blah, blah. He was kind of the foundation of me really getting started on writing really good songs, not just like
Oh yeah.
songs. But anyways, Dwayne Hitchings, if you're watching, hello, I love you. You're amazing. And he wrote the theme song to Flashdance, like, and I remember sitting next to him and I was singing and he was playing one day on his yacht. And of course, and so he said, "Oh, you changed your colors."
Mm.
I was like, "Oh, I've never heard that term before. That's so interesting." And
Oh.
what he meant was I changed my tone when I was going to hit the notes. So my tone wasn't consistent all the way up because when I got to the higher notes, I needed to get it up in that pharyngeal.
You know what? That brings so much more meaning now to like, because I've heard people say that. Like, there's
Yeah,
so much
yeah, yeah, yeah.
color in your voice. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Right.
okay. No, like
Yeah.
that makes sense when you say it like that, right?
Right?
Because your
Yeah.
voice isn't just like one dimensional because of the different placements that you take it through. It can make it have different colors rather than just black and white, right?
Yeah.
There's different shades of it too.
And I think that creates the best vocal.
I agree.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine like how boring it would be if every single note we sang was the exact same tone? I think it would sound very vanilla and flat. It wouldn't
Yeah.
have like emotion behind it. It wouldn't have those little things that were like, oh, that was so good. And what if I whisper it at the end?
Right.
Right then
Right.
I'm losing my tone. But
Yeah.
the microphone sucks up that breath when you exhale on the mic and it
Right.
comes through like passion. So sometimes backing off on your tone can create an emotion.
Yeah. It creates a storytelling.
Hmm.
Definitely. And like that's something that I try to teach my students is like I want more of the story. So instead of using just like one tone the entire song, right? What is this specific word mean,
Yes.
right? How could you emphasize this or how could you back off of it to help bring it more to life so I'm affected by the story as well
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
right? It's the same way if you're just reading a book, you're not just going to want to read it like, and today they went to the store and they saw, you don't want to say it like that. You want to be like, and today they went to the store and they saw this, you know what I'm talking
Right.
about? Like it
Yeah.
helps make it much more interesting. And it helps do exactly what we're talking about, bring the viewer and bring them into your world so they feel that same excitement or sadness, right? Anger, whatever the
Yes.
emotion may be, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we can add texture to our tone. As you just said, sadness. You made me think about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can add texture. So I could add a vocal fry, which would add emotion or a cry in my voice,
Mm-hmm.
emotion, or I could even yodel or break my voice to get somewhere quicker or to add emotion, right?
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
do lots of vocal tricks to add emotion and which will change my tone, but it's still my tone that's in
Mm-hmm.
my body and what my voice wants to make. And I could try to sound like you, but I'm never going to actually sound like you.
Well,
Right?
right.
It never
Right.
will be an identical tone change.
Right. And
Yeah.
personally, I feel like why sometimes certain songs just like I feel like just do not sit as well on my voice as other songs.
That could be a
Right.
key issue.
Say that again.
Key issue. Maybe you need to lower the key.
Well, yes, yes.
Right,
Well,
right.
I feel like let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that. It doesn't hit the same as when I hear the singer sing the song. Now, there's some
Oh,
songs where I'm like, "Ooh, I'm hitting this just as hard as the original singer," right? Yeah. But then when I hear, say, like Ariana Grande, love Ariana Grande, her songs, I can sing them, right? But it does not hit in the same because the way she writes them and the way that the song is sang, no matter what key I place it in, it just does not sit as well on my voice as other songs do.
100%. I think the way we enunciate
Mm-hmm.
and move our tongue and kind of, use our words has so much to do with whether or not that song feels right in your mouth.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So if you're singing, like if I tried to sing Ariana Grande or something like that, it would not sound as good as her because she's actually a belting soprano.
Mm-hmm.
would be like the death of me because I am a contralto, right? I'm the lowest frequency,
The
which
death
makes
of
me
me.
able to teach men, right? Right.
Yeah.
So, right. So then I'd be like, oh yeah, I can hit those notes, but they don't sound as effortless. It doesn't have
Yeah.
the same pretty tone she has on it,
Correct.
which is
Yeah.
special to her, and that's how you know, oh, that's Ariana Grande.
Right. 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 So how do you stand out from um like as making yourself like a new artist out there, right?
Yeah.
Find your tone, find your thing,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Write your songs. Like if you can write, if you can't write, learn to write, right? Because that is where I truly believe, like I really start to find my tone and my voice when I started writing my own music and
Yeah.
like singing my music. I'm like, oh, this is my
Yeah.
tone. This is
You know
me.
why? Because you have no one to copy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So when I pull up a Shania Twain album back in the day,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love that. I loved trying to match her tone because it felt buzzy in my mouth voice.
Mm.
So she's like, do you hear that kind of buzzy resonance?
Yeah.
That's not natural to me, but it's super
Okay.
natural to her, you know? And I could match it, and I'm like, oh, that feels good, even though I knew that wasn't how I really wanted to sound. But
Right.
it's fun to try and match it, but I would never be an identical version. It's impossible.
Right. Same with me, Ariana Grande. I
Right?
tried to
Oh,
sing
there's
my
no way.
things,
Yeah.
and I'm like, it just it doesn't sound as because I feel like I have a more weighted voice, so I have to really when I sing, I have to remember to lighten it up,
Yes,
right?
me
Because
too.
I don't
Yes.
want to weigh myself down, right? And she is
Right.
a light and flowy singer, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Same. Same. So
Mhm.
I actually have to watch my pitch and make sure I'm not flat because I want to add so much chest in as I get higher, it'll weight it. Same.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It'll weight it. That's what that means, if anybody's wondering.
Right.
Weight down means there's too much chest in it, so it'll actually pull your pitch.
Right. Yeah.
So we have to fight for that upper placement.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And fight is whew,
Yes, and that's why you train, right? That's why we train.
that is why we train because you know you want to get really comfortable in those spots that you're not typically comfortable, right?
That's
I'm not worried about my chest voice, okay?
same. Same.
I need to train my upper register because I know that is not my comfort zone,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Train outside of your comfort zone so it sounds more effortless, right? That training equals effortless.
Yes. And when you train, you're going to notice there's going to be some tone changes. And when we're teaching things like mixed voice or high belt, we use, as vocal coaches, tone change in order to help people achieve those things.
Right.
So I will make them make the funniest sounds sometimes in order to help them feel what the proper airflow and air pressure is in order to strengthen certain voicings.
Yeah.
But then I don't necessarily want them to sing like that.
Right.
It'll make them sound crazy. You know, you're saying, ah, and you're doing all this weird stuff so that they can feel what it feels like to get up here. And then they're like, oh, I don't want to sound like that. And it's like,
right.
I want to sound like that. It's an exercise.
Yeah.
So that you can feel where the voice is supposed to be placed and make it stronger, but you're not going to necessarily sound like that when you're singing.
Right.
Just
right.
like I don't walk around doing this all day because I'm, out of the gym. I'm not going to do that, right? When you work out, you do funny things. And then when you're out of the gym is when you get to act normal.
Right.
Or look normal or sing normal or whatever.
Yeah.
But because you've done the work and the exercises, now you've figured out where to place your notes.
Right.
And use your tone to help you.
Yes.
Right? Because tone change can help you learn. And then, ta-da, you're Demi Lovato.
Yeah. Crazy. Crazy how that works.
Right?
And we did some crazy things to reach the note, okay? You have to go to the extreme sometimes when you're in training mode to then be able to bring it back down when you're regular singing, right? Because sometimes my students, they're like, well, why do I have to open up so big? Why do I have to do this so much? Why do I have to get real mad, right?
Yeah.
Because you got to go all the way before we dial it back some.
That's right. 100%. 100%.
Sorry, y'all. I'm really sorry.
You're gonna make some funny sounds in your voice lessons, you guys.
They always look at me like, what?
I know. I don't want to sound like that. Don't
Trust
worry.
me.
Yeah.
Please. Time and time again, it never
Trust
fails.
your vocal coach. We will get you there.
I'll get you
So
right.
if you guys have further questions on tone, you can reach us at thesingingstudio.net. You can drop us a little comment. You can email us from the website. You can book a session with Brea or myself, and you can do that through the website as well. And we will get you guys going and talk more about your special tone, and then having your special tone be effective for you. So that
Yes.
you can hit all the notes you want to hit and reach
Mm-hmm.
reach all the reaches, I almost said.
Reach all the
Reach
reaches.
all the reaches.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to drop this for today because that was actually really good. And I think tone is something that you have already, but it can be developed to give you more.
Mm-hmm.